And now, from North Platte High School, Studio B, welcome to Bulldog Banter, where students, stakeholders, and alumni come together to traverse the transformative power of education. This week's episode sponsored by the North Platte Public Schools Foundation and the Flower Market.
Hi, I'm Tucker.
I'm Will.
And this is the Bulldog Banter.
Where we talk about stuff, talk to people about stuff, and give you the latest banter.
Bulldog style. Today's guest is Mr. Milton.
Yeah.
What's up? What's up, fellas?
We're back.
So, coaching and teaching. How's your experience here at NPHS?
Geez, it's kind of like just deja vu.
Yeah.
I just felt like I've been here before. But no, I've been here for 12, 13 years. I actually forget the year. It's kind of like my how many years I've been married. But Coach Willie and I think, are part of the same rookie class when we showed up to North Platte. So however long he's been here, I've been here the same amount of time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We're getting old.
Very, very old.
How's your teaching experience been here? Have you taught the same class, or have you jumped around, or?
No, for the most part, I have taught Algebra 2 all the way through. I've taught a couple of different classes here and there. I used to teach pre-calc. I've taught applied math. I taught a repeat algebra class last year, which was an experience. But for the most part, it's always been Algebra 2. And the one thing I just constantly request is that I never have to teach geometry. So that's just the one thing that I hope to always avoid.
Yeah, me too.
Geometry, I wouldn't take that again. That was bad. That was a rough time in my life.
That was a rough time. So as an algebra teacher, what do you think is the biggest thing that you see people struggle on?
Honestly, most of it is confidence. Like, one of the first things that I ask is just the first day of school is show of hands how many people in here just do not like math. And then the amount of hands that shoot up in the air is just always a little startling, just because I know just through experience that most of you guys and most of the students I have are going to be successful in some form or fashion, but because whether it's just they don't have a lot of background with it, they don't have confidence in themselves to be successful. And then I think by the end of it, they kind of realize that it's not as hard as they expected it to be at the very beginning.
Yeah, 100%. Oh,
yeah. When we had algebra in 8th grade, that was a struggle bus.
And that's one thing. So, and Will, I have you in class right now. That's always an interesting thing, because semester-long classes, you might only take a class a year, a math class 1 year, and to go from 8th grade to sophomore year, to go from Algebra 1 to Algebra 2 is a really long stretch. Yeah, and I think that's another reason why people are maybe a little overwhelmed at the beginning, because it's been so long, especially for those of you guys that took it in 8th grade, because you guys are completely different human beings now than what you were in 8th grade. So
I think that, and not having a math class back-to-back semesters is awful, because I had geometry first semester last year.
Yeah.
And
if I was to give you guys any advice, Will, I would tell you, first semester next year, college
100%.
algebra, just to keep it close. And then if you're an ACT type of a person, that's going to be, to me, your best bet to make sure you're as sharp as you can be on that thing.
For sure.
Yeah, isn't there a good amount of Algebra 2 stuff on the ACT?
Yeah,
or is it,
from what we've looked at,
Yeah, I always say and try to get that across. There's always going to be questions that you don't know how to do, but there's a big part of everything that we're about to do in Algebra 2 that you're going to see on that test whenever it is that you take it. So
yeah, it's scary to think about. I don't want to do it. The pre-ACT stuff's already scary enough. I don't need to take the real one.
I always think that that's just a way to kind of put yourself on a rating scale in terms of whether it's you and your buddies, you and your classmates. Because I was obviously good at math and stuff like that, it was always something that I could brag about. So I saw it as a challenge. A lot of people see it as maybe a little bit scary of something they have to do.
Yeah.
So how do you like to teach your classes? How do you do you do anything fun? Do you spice things up, or?
So a lot of times the math is the math, and so I don't try to convince kids that the quadratic formula is any more interesting than it really is.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I try to do is just every once in a while, and Will hasn't even gotten to do it yet, just because I've been gone and we've just been pretty busy. That like there'll just be a day where we'll do like a fun Friday and we'll play different games. We'll do there's a couple of games that I have that are just like movie trivia and stuff like that. And it's almost like that's how I try to make my class a little bit more enjoyable. Is not to spice up the math, but just every once in a while know that we've done a lot of math lately. Now let's just kind of do something that's a little bit more fun, because it's always hard to convince kids that math can be fun. So that's what I try to do to make things a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah, I think I kind of need a fun Friday like you're talking about.
I think I got one on the books here, but one thing about basketball season at the moment is we're gone on a lot of Fridays. So any days that I'm here, we just got to kind of fire through. But there's some on the horizon.
It's the same with swim season.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be gone again tomorrow after class.
Yeah.
So.
It's crazy. And obviously you guys are all active and everything. There's some of these days where there's very few kids at the school because we're going 1,000 different places and 1,000 different activities, and we never really crossed paths. I guess there was one meet you guys had in McCook that we played in a basketball game.
Yeah.
And Coach K and I, we walked down to the Y and just kind of walked around for a little bit.
Guys, yeah.
So it was kind of fun
that was funny.
See you guys in the element, because I've never been to a swim meet because I always have basketball games to go to. So.
I don't recommend.
You know,
it's not until we get the
long
new pool.
Time.
Now, new pool would be nice. I have a couple of cousins that ended up being college swimmers, so even though I can't swim, I always have some sort of a connection to it.
Yeah. So we were talking about in class the other day that you're a big podcast listener.
Yeah.
So, like, what are some of your favorites that you listen to on a daily?
Mostly all sports podcasts. I'm a big Bill Simmons fan. He just is the sports guy, and he just talks a lot about just a variety. Like, he's obviously big into the Super Bowl now, and they do a lot of sports, just wagering and betting, kind of just predicting the lines and stuff like that. And then probably the one that I listen to the absolute most is the Dan Lebertard show. And
my dad listens to that all the time.
And I've listened to that probably every day for probably years, like 5-6 years. That's just like part of my daily routine is to listen to that. And there's a lot of times where I'm like 2 or 3 weeks behind. Like I'm still trying to get caught up, and I think they're still talking about the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs game. So like I'm like time traveling with it as I'm going through. So a month from now, I'm going to be listening to about the Luka Doncic trade.
Yeah.
So.
No, my dad loves Joe Rogan, even though it's probably not NPHS appropriate.
Sorry, NPHS.
But Joe Rogan, he's a great.
He's
funny.
Joe Rogan, if you see this, come on here.
Yeah, geez, talk about that. If he followed me up in this chair, I don't think I'd have very many views on this one. But I get most of my Joe Rogan off of just TikTok videos.
Oh, yeah.
I don't listen
Those
to
are the
him,
best
but
parts.
I get to listen to the very best of the Joe Rogan podcast.
Goofy ones.
Him and I see a lot of Theo Vaughn too.
Theo Vaughn is funny.
Yeah, so.
I heard. So there's rumors going around. You are in a podcast like once in a lifetime ago.
A long time ago. I still have the poster in my room. I don't hang it up anymore because it's just like just R.I.P. to the Sing Second podcast. But it was me, Mr. Whitney, Mr. Peterson, and Dean Butler were all on a college football podcast for about a solid football season, and then it just kind of fizzled out slowly went away.
It's awesome. I'd love to do that.
What was that like? Did you just talk about football, or was it just more of a fun thing?
It was more just it was a fun thing and an excuse for us to get together. We did it in the back of Mr. Butler's house. I don't want to give out any personal information, but he lived on D Street, so this poster says "Welcome to the D Street Studios," and the baseline was talking about football, but the amount of movie quotes and just fun and laughter that we had was probably the main takeaway. Like, I don't know if anybody was listening to it for just the expert football opinions that we had, but it was a lot of fun. Mr. Peterson has now gone on to do kind of his own 3 or 4 different podcasts because Mr. Peterson has a lot of different interests, and it's always kind of fun to listen to people you know. That's why I like listening to you guys so much, because see you guys in the hallway, you talk to people that I know. Like, that makes it actually more fun to listen to.
Yeah.
So, how has like NPHS like changed your viewpoint, or like how has like just everything or NPHS just affected you as a whole?
I went to a really small school, so when I started teaching here, like this school is bigger than my hometown. It was bigger than my whole school. Like, so I definitely had an adjustment period, but now I honestly can't think of going anywhere else. My kids are just now getting to the age, or my oldest is getting to the age where he's starting school. So, like, I don't have the years of North Platte experience like Coach Pack does, since he was born and raised here. But I kind of feel like I'm first generation North Platte guy. So then my kids are going to kind of have that same experience, and like I love it as a community. I love the school. The school itself is, I guess, it always ebbs and flows. There's always kids that make an impact on me. Hopefully I make an impact on some of them, and it's just kind of fun to see the growth. Like, before we were talking about Will's sister Olivia. She was a sophomore in my first ever class that I taught.
I didn't know that.
Yep. So, and it's crazy because now I see her in the summer, and I always like talking to her. I see her at the concerts. I saw her at the espresso shop. Like, she was in that class. Cole Jonason was in my first ever class that I taught, and now he's on the coaching staff. I consider him a friend of mine, and so like just kind of that process of going from I never knew anybody from North Platte, then I taught these kids, and then 10, 15 years down the road, I consider them some friends. Like, that to me is the best part, and it's a big school, but to me it's a small enough community where that can still happen on a regular basis.
Yeah, 100%. So how do you think like the school as a whole has changed?
Geez, Mr. Willie could speak on it. Our first few years, like, we probably went through 3 or 4 different principals, 2 or 3 different superintendents, all in the first couple of years that we were here. And so I didn't know if that was normal, and I didn't know if that was anything that was expected to happen. But like, every new principal and every new admin kind of has their own little spin on things. But right now, I would say that Dr. Rhodes, who's our superintendent, was the principal who hired me a long, long time ago. And so having him back kind of feels somewhat normal now. And then Mr. Spatansky has been here for a few years now, and just the consistency allows everybody to kind of know what to expect. And I think that's how you can kind of start growing, because you're never having to decide, well, is this what he wants, or was this what the last guy wants? So I think it's just a fun process to go through. And then obviously the kids change, but for as much as every kid is different, like, high school kids rarely ever change. You always have the kids who are challenging, and you always have the kids who will do literally anything that you ask them to. And I think it's just fun to go through that process every year.
Yeah. So would you like to see any more change at NPHS?
Honestly, I'm just kind of I'm usually a guy who just goes with the flow. I'm not really an idea guy, so I will look at kind of things that I think if you talk to any teacher, all teachers have the answers to all the problems, but it can be pretty daunting to kind of look at. But honestly, I think the biggest thing is just turning the question back on you. And if you said you guys have a couple years left at NPHS, like, from now to your senior year, what would you want to, like, what would be the biggest impact change that you guys think you'd want to see?
More people go out for more things.
The culture, yeah.
And that's such a huge deal. And I know Coach Rice, the old football coach, like, he had a really big impact on me in terms of just how I view things and just how to kind of build stuff up. And I thought he did an amazing job of just constantly being in the guys on the football team of the year, getting them in the weight room, just staying connected with them. And I do think that if we can start kind of building that back up, and it all kind of starts with success breeds success, and the more you win, but whether it's FFA, whether it's music, whether it's all the sports, I would completely agree, because it's crazy to think about, like, our basketball teams are pretty short in terms of just pure stature height. And then I walk through the school, and I'm 6'2", and I see a lot of people walking through our school that are like eye level or taller than me. I was like, geez, if we could have 8 years ago decided that he wanted to play basketball, then we'd have a 6'5" kid out on our team. And just we are a big school, but we're not so big that we don't need literally every kid doing as much as we can. And I would agree. I think that's a huge deal. Talk to your friends, get them out.
Yeah, just show up,
exactly,
be there.
Yeah.
No student section.
Yeah, and that even stuff like that. And I coach girls basketball, and I know that there's always times that when our games start, sometimes school's just getting out, kids are still coming off of work. But yeah, we'll look over there, and there's 3 or 4, 5, 6 kids in there, and I guess we could always say, well, wow, if we were a little bit better, maybe we'd get more people. But I cannot tell you enough, because our football student section is always awesome. Like, if you ever think or don't think that student section makes a big deal, makes the people playing feel important, but it honestly has an impact on the other team when that thing is pumping it out. So
For sure.
Yeah, student sections, actually just participating in the activities, any and all participation is something we look forward to.
Do you think you had like a culture shock from being what we talked about, the district champ, where the student section was completely packed, to these important games now, and there's 6, 7 kids out in the student section?
Oh yeah, and that's and I don't know if it's a girl sport thing, but I'm always in the JV gym with the girls, so I don't know if it's any bigger for the boys. But like I said, I do know that, like, the girls on the team will definitely notice, and I don't know if it doesn't make them play any better or worse, but seeing such a small crowd there. But I do know when that thing is full, it brings a level of energy, because, like, I don't know how many other gyms you guys go to, but our gym for basketball is literally one of the biggest ones in the state. Every team that comes in here will walk in and be like, I cannot believe how big this place is. So, like, when we have a pep rally, when the entire student body is sitting on the one side, like, that would be the dream of, if we could ever have that crowd at a game, that would be insane. Like, we could probably beat anybody if that crowd was on our side, loud like we can be. And I know Coach Pack and Coach Hammond both said, is like, we just need to kind of set up a game one year, like, say that we're having a pep rally, and then all of a sudden when 1,200 kids walk into the school building, there's just a basketball game that breaks out, and we schedule McCook or somebody to play it.
Awesome.
That'd be awesome.
2 o'clock in the afternoon, and all 1,200 students are just in the gym, just being loud and crazy. That would be insane.
Let's do it. That'd be awesome.
That would be
I'm so down
fun
for that. I always try to go. Like, me and Will always try to go. We might be running a board, but we always try to be there.
I always see you guys doing that, and the starting lineups and stuff like that. Like, if I wasn't a coach, I'd be banging down Coach Willie's door to just be a part of it in some way or fashion, because I think this is the coolest stuff that we have going for us. And at NPHS, like, talking about things that I wish were added or changed, like, doing this stuff is, to me, something I never would have expected a high school to be able to put together. So when you guys come out with podcasts, or you guys do the hype videos and the stuff like that, or have the videos pop up when somebody hits a 3, like, that stuff is the coolest thing that we do. So keep up the good work, and keep adding to it, because this is fun stuff.
Yeah.
I had never really thought I was going to do this either. I'm not going to.
Yeah, think about this, sitting in middle school, 8th grade algebra class, and you're like, man, one day I'm just going to be just doing a podcast for the high school.
Doing a podcast with my Algebra 2 teacher.
Yep, exactly. And geez, now this is just extra time you get to spend with me today. We still have the 90 minutes coming up here in a little bit.
Sure do.
In algebra, we were thinking about how we were going to pass that class, not how we were going to.
That was so
That
bad.
was a rough hour every day.
That was a really rough hour. Yeah.
But what was your favorite memory as a coach or a teacher? You know, kind of touched on West Side and those big games, but do you have any other memories that you like?
Yeah, like this, when we beat West Side that year, 3 years ago, that was something that as it started and as the game progressed, like we were in it, we were competing, we were beating them, and it was almost like we were always waiting for, well, when are they just going to kind of step up? And we never did, and we had a couple of dudes on that team that really just kind of took over that game, and like as a coach, that's probably as good as it gets, I think, and hopefully we continue to build up, and hopefully we stay in those matchups, because even this year when we played Millard South, they won state walking away, and at the end of the first quarter we were up 7-0, and partway through the second quarter it was a 10-10 ball game, and so we still have the athletes to compete there, and just hopefully we can continue to have some of that success. But yeah, beyond that, just the kind of the bonds, the relationships you make with the kids. Like in football, I coach the receiver, so like I'm always a little bit more partial to those guys because I spend so much time with them. So like Ryan Kaminsky, Cole Wright, like Caleb Kincaid when he moved over to being a receiver, like some of those guys, like I spent a lot of time around. Like this last year, like Jace Powell and Max Negley were dudes that started as freshmen and now finished their senior years, and it's just awesome to kind of see them just get better and better each year, and then go from freshman games to then maybe annoyed that they're playing JV games as juniors, and then they get to their senior year and they make huge impact plays, and like that's just fun for me as a coach to kind of see those guys just do their thing.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, do you have like any like words of advice or like your main driving point that you want to teach students?
I think you guys kind of hit on it with just trying to be a part of the school and the community, because we have a lot of kids that just kind of show up, leave, and then don't really have much of an impact on NPHS. And I think that the more people we get involved, the better it is. And like obviously not being from here, I like to kind of ask kids every year, like, hey, do you plan on ever coming back? Like, do you want to make North Platte your home? And some people are yes, I'm going to stay here. And then there's always kids like, nope, I can't wait to get as far away from North Platte as possible. And it's those kids where I guess I feel bad for, because like, again, I'm from a town that's 200 people plus, and I could not be more proud to be from that place because it made me who I am. And like all of these kids who say like North Platte's too small or there's nothing to do, like to me, school is 8 hours a day where you're forced to just hang out with your friends. Like, yeah, there's algebra class, there's science class, but this is the only time in your life where you get to just be forced to hang out with your friends. So enjoy it. Be proud of the place that is raising you at this point. And I think just if you want to see kind of change in your school, change in your town, like we need as many people coming back, and we need as many people singing the praises of North Platte as we possibly can. And I think you guys are doing a great job. I think some of the podcasts you guys put out are like, should be like must listens. Like that podcast you did with Colton and Caleb, I listened to that probably 2 times just because I thought what you guys were asking were awesome, and I thought some of the messages that they had were something that everybody needs to hear, especially kids from North Platte.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Those are really good ones.
Well, thank you for coming on. It was great talking to you.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right.
Well, this has been the Bulldog Banter. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Peace.
Peace.